Welcome to the escape plan. So, today we're going to be talking about actually how to message and how to outreach to the business owners that we find on Instagram, YouTube, etc. So, outreach is a skill, right? This is going to be the opportunity and the chance for you guys to be landing roles that earn you 4 or 5 figures every single month from your laptop. So it's very important that we learn this skill and we implement it correctly, right? So most people, what they get wrong here is they get lazy, quite simply. They feel like, okay, I'm just going to send a bunch of text messages out, and that's going to be the thing that allows me to succeed because I'm just going to do so many. And yeah, volume does negate luck. However, volume mixed with quality is what you need to be doing here, right? We've spoken about I've probably mentioned it, but I'll mention it again here. We want to be doing at least 20 to 40 outreach minimum every single day, because that is the thing that is going to move the needle the most. So keeping that in mind, the easy way and the lazy way, yeah, sure, we can do it faster. But what people seem to forget is these business owners have a lot of people messaging them. They have people wanting to buy their services. They have people pitching to be closers, etc., setters, whatever. But also copywriters, people who will do their marketing, people who want to work with them and to improve their YouTube, people who want to improve their Instagram content, etc. So there's a lot of people in their inbox. And your messages are most likely going to land in the request section of their inbox, unless you are getting a lot of traction. So the best way to kind of get that traction, so you get, through, you don't go through the inbox, you go through the request, you go straight into their main inbox, is you have a lot of interaction. So your posts are getting likes, comments, etc. You're posting stories, they're getting likes, they're getting reactions. That is going to allow you to go straight into their inbox and skip the request section. But if you're stuck in their request section, which most of the time people are, even people who have that, the likes, the comments, everything, you can still get stuck in the request section. So the issue with just sending a normal text message is you look like everyone else. You do not stand out from the crowd. You do not look different, And what we need to be doing is creating a pattern interrupt, right? Because business owners are humans at the end of the day. That's all they are. And like most humans, they are curious, right? So we need to play on that curiosity. And the way to do that is we don't send text messages, we send video messages, right? So we're going to send 30 to 60-second video basically talking about why we want to work with them, what we bring to the table, etc. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through that today. And the reason why this video works so well is because it acts as a pattern interrupt. Because business owners, again, they're curious, right? When you see a text message, okay, you can see, for example, you click on the request inbox, you can see the first few words. But when it's a video, it says play video. And they click on that and they're interested, they're intrigued. They want to know what is in this video, right? So we play on that. And basically, the best kind of thing I can recommend with the video, the kind of framework, the format, I have it in my notes here, right? So we want to compliment them specifically, right? Maybe something they said in their content, maybe something about their story, maybe something about, the people that they help, etc. And from there, we want to explain why we're reaching out. And we want to basically talk about why we would be a great fit for this business owner. Even if you don't have experience, what I need you to do is you can go into ChatGPT, you can just go note paper yourself and really just ask yourself, okay, I'm going to pull up ChatGPT. What are the key indicators of a successful sales rep in terms of characteristics, style, everything, right? But we can just go characteristics. So for example, discipline, consistency, able to withstand rejection, right? Because that happens in sales quite a bit. So we look at those characteristics. We then compare them to what we've done in real life, whether it's sport, whether it's what you do for work, whatever it is. We need to sound like a salesperson. Because ladies and gentlemen, the first sale you get in high ticket sales is yourself. Okay? So the whole purpose of the video, it's to stand out, but it's also to show them that you're confident. And we need to sound like a salesperson, because who would you rather pick? Someone who's like, oh, I don't have experience, I bought this course, whatever, and this is why you should pick me, right? That sounds very generic. You sound like everyone else. But you need to make it personal to you, to your experiences, to what you've done. And the way we do that is look at the key characteristics of a sales rep, a high-level sales rep, and we compare those characteristics, and we basically say, okay, all those characteristics that sales rep has, how do I have them? Where have I shown them previously, right? Because this is basically a pitch, right? So it's us pitching to their needs. So it's very important that you do this, because otherwise you're going to sound like everyone else. And if you send a text message, you're not going to see the success that you want to see, right? I've had people who have sent one video message and landed a role. But I've also had people who send hundreds of text messages and never land a role, right? So it's incredibly important that we use video messages, because this is what is going to allow us to actually stand out, show our confidence, and show why we are the right person for the job. Okay, so now that we have all those characteristics, how we've shown them, it's very easy, right? That's the hard part. From there, you look at someone's, for example, profile, content, who they're helping, their story, their message, whatever you relate with, right? So for example, if it's a fitness coach, you can talk about how you relate with the fact that they went from, 100, they've lost 100 pounds, for example, and they're helping others do the same. You can talk about the success that some of their clients have had. You can talk about how they may have mentioned a certain thing or whatever it may be, that, for example, like taking cold plunges, right? You can show relatability, right? So for example, fitness coach, let's say, they talk about in their content the importance of cold plunges to reaching your goals. You can talk about how you do cold plunges and how you think it's a great idea, or maybe that from what they said, you've started implementing it and you've started to see great effects and feel those effects that they mentioned. And then you go in, the reason why I'm reaching out to you is bang, 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 bang. I want to work with you as a setter or a closer. And I want to, and I'm basically the right person for the job. I'm disciplined because I've shown it in bang, 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 bang. I've dealt with a lot of rejection. I've worked maybe in door-to-door sales, knocking a lot of doors, not getting the sales, not getting people picking up. And I've just kept going because I know that I'm going to get that sale, for example, right? And that is basically the framework, right? It's we complement them, their business, their client success, their content, something that they've mentioned, like I said, the ice plunge for fitness coaches or whatever it may be. It might be a mindset thing that someone said, whatever it is. Then I'm reaching out because I want to work with you as a setter or a closer. Then this is why you should hire me. Because I have discipline. Here's how. Because I have consistency. Here's how. Because I am able to consistently react well to failure. Here's how. And then we end it off with confidence. So I'd love to have a chat with you about how we could help each other. So whenever you're free, let me know, and I'd love to discuss this further. That is how we end it, with confidence, right? But that is the framework. It's very simple. We talk about, it's the compliment, it's what we want to, why we're reaching out. So we want to work with them as a setter or a closer. Then why we'd be the right person for the job. Then ending with confidence, interview. Let's settle that. Let's get that booked in, right? Not, oh, if this sounds good, then I'd love to hear back from you. No. You're assuming it sounds good, and you're saying, so whenever you're ready, I'd love to discuss this further. So let me know your schedule, and we can jump on a call. Sounds much better. Now, tips for actually doing this well is, I would always recommend when you send a video, you stand up, right? You stand up and you speak with your chest. The biggest issue I see, we spoke about it internally, people speak with their throat. You need to speak from your diaphragm, right? And the way you do that is stand up, Superman pose, roll your shoulders back, breathe in, breathe out 5 times, and then you basically just go for it, right? So that is how you get your tone to be right. Then what you need to do is, if you should never read off a script, have maybe, this is a great little hack. You can have a Post-it note, like a sticky note, right? You write bullet points on it of the things you want to touch on. So for example, discipline from me being an athlete, whatever. So discipline, athlete, right? You just have those keywords that kind of remind you of what you were going to say. And you have them on your phone. Because I'm looking at the camera here, right? But right now, I'm looking at the sticky note. But it doesn't look like I'm looking at the sticky note. Do you see what I'm saying? You can have it right under the camera, right next to the camera, and that's great. You want to hold it landscape. So right now you guys are horizontal. Hold it landscape. Have it there. Have your hands moving. Show that confidence. And the final tip that I would recommend is feedback. Getting feedback off of your outreach videos, right? Because with our clients, for example, most of the time they land roles because we give them to them, right? But we also show them how to outreach, and we get them to outreach themselves on top of us providing them with roles. So we are always, for example, giving them the feedback on their tone, on what they're saying, on how to say it better, absolutely everything. So if you don't have that, okay, maybe show it to a friend, ask what they think, family member, your dad, your mom, whatever, right? It's important that you actually get someone else's perspective, right? Because you're going to be a bit biased. So you want to get someone else's perspective. Let me see here. Another thing to remember, right? When you send that message, you are not necessarily going to get a response, right? Business owners are busy. Business owners might open the message. Business owners might not respond, okay? But we don't give up there. So, like a great salesperson, we are going to follow up, right? And the way we do that is, firstly, interesting fact, 80% of deals closed require 5 follow-ups, right? 44% of people, they quit after 1. So, show up like an A player with intention, not desperate. You're not desperate. That's not why you're following up. You're following up because you're like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do if I'm a sales rep, right? You're showing them what you're doing for them before you even do it for them, right? You're showing them your capabilities. So what I would say is follow up every 48 hours. Follow up to 7 times, right? You don't need to do more. You won't really need to do more, I don't think, based off of the data that we have and what we've seen. Typically, you get a response within 3 to 5 follow-ups at most, if not off the initial message, if it's really good. And what you want to do is, for example, the first follow up, you lead with that confidence. So you're like, oh, would tomorrow morning work for you, right? As a time to do the interview, assuming that they've watched it. So if you see that they watched it, you ask that question. Or a Hasbulla gif always works well. Comedy. For example, if you're messaging a guy, a great follow-up message is, do you treat all the girls in your DMs like this? Right? I think that's a great follow-up message. It adds some humor, right? Because again, you want to create those pattern interrupts, because when they see the message, they're more likely to click on it. And when they're likely to click on it, they'll watch your video, they'll respond to you. And the thing with follow-up that you need to kind of keep note of is you wanna basically be creative, show humor, don't be unprofessional, right? For example, like the one with do you treat all the girls in your DMs like this? That's like the line. You don't cross that line. You don't go further than that. That's probably the most you do. So everything under that is a bit more, I guess, PC, you could say. That is what I would recommend. Nothing more. And you need to note that business owners, what do they want to see? They want to see confidence. They want to see hunger. They want to see ambition. They want to see that you add value. But on top of that, they want to see credibility. The biggest pitfall that I see from people who are outreaching is they're like, oh, I don't have experience. It's not a problem. It's in your head. Show them that you're a salesperson. Show traits. You don't need to say titles like, I was a sales rep, I was a door-to-door sales rep, I was an SDR, I was a BDM. You don't need to say that. You need to say that you have these traits and this is why you're going to be a winner for this person, right? So, recapping everything that we've said, the video framework, it is very simple. Compliment the business owner, why you're reaching out to them to be a setter, to be a closer. Then, why you're the right person for the job, talking about your experience in every area of life, and basically saying these top sales rep traits, I have them, here is how. Then basically say, this is going to be, when are we going to interview? That's basically what you're doing. Then, follow up. You do that every 48 hours. You use comedy as a great tool because that's a pattern interrupt. And you also are thinking on your feet, adding value potentially, right? So a great kind of tip is, how do you add value? So you can basically say, so you work as a dropshipping coach, for example, right? You help people make money online with the skill of dropshipping. If I was on your sales team, here's how I would improve the show up rate. Here's how I would get more people to show up to sales calls. Here is how I would handle this specific objection if I was closing for you. That basically is showing your worth before you're even hired. It adds credibility. It shows you that you're the right person for the job. And it basically makes everything much easier. Then, like I said, follow up every 48 hours. Comedy is a great tool, acts as a pattern interrupt, and then you only want to do 7 of those tops. And big reminder, no text messages at all, except for the follow-up. You can do that, text messages, but yeah, initial message, video only. And what else? You also want to make sure that you are staying on top of things. So maybe have a spreadsheet where you're like organized with everything. And basically that will help you kind of do it every single day. Because once you get to a point where you're doing 40 every single day, you're going to make sure that you are hitting up the right people, the right sequence. So for example, like as you go on, you'll do that initial 40 every single day, and then you'll have the follow-up to do as well every single day. And that will basically stop after 14 days. So after 2 weeks, you have basically reset, because you only follow up every 40 hours and you do up to 7. So those are the tips for that. Feedback. Getting feedback is crucial to ensure that you are doing it correctly. And tomorrow, we're going to be talking about how to ensure that you're working with the right offers, right? You don't want to waste your time on crappy offers. So we basically want to make sure that you work for the right company that's going to make you money, quite simply. All right. So that's everything for today. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.